Or
That's
put a sign right here.
Darina's
That,
right there. But
isn't
that's,
that their
it's
sign?
hidden. That's ours, yeah. It's
Yeah,
hidden.
that's what I'm saying. You need a sign. I didn't know there was one. I mean, it is a good location.
Yeah.
You could live upstairs.
After paying $7,000 and signing a 7-page residential lease agreement for a new home, and so that the landlord's construction company, who was already there and performing major construction at that time, will construct 26 specific critical items that we required and needed to be done so that it can become our new home, as there was no kitchen, no heat, no furnace, no bathrooms, as the home was completely gutted in April of 2017. According to the lease, both the landlord's prior construction and now the newly added list for the tenants were to be completed prior to the tenants taking possession, as stated in the lease for June 1st, 2017. And as stated on page 7, item number 1, that the premises was expected to be in move-in condition, so the leasee can move right in on June 1st, 2017. Expected to be happily moving into our new dream home and office, where in 10 years we plan to retire from, our smiles immediately turned to tears as upon walking in, and we had to face cruel reality that we had been conned, as the residence was not even close to being completed. In fact, it looked like the home hadn't even been touched by the landlord since signing the lease and paying the $7,000 deposit. Being put into such a serious predicament by the landlord, as he knew there was no turning back, as we had already fully moved out of our previous properties, the only choice we had was to move in and hope the landlord's promises eventually got completed, as he's always assured us prior that we had nothing to fear, as he's been building construction for years and that he owned the $1 million property next door as well. Remembering numerous times the landlord kept assuring us that he had plenty of time to finish the residence by the June 1st move-in date, as signing the lease on April 18, 2017 till the June 1st, 2017 deadline gave the landlord 43 days to complete everything. After weeks of not being able to contact anyone at the landlord's office, we finally heard back from the manager, and that's when we discovered that after signing the lease and receiving our $7,000 deposit, instead of finishing the promised construction work within the 43 days, the landlord left the country and went on a 41-day vacation to Nepal, which only proves that the landlord had zero intentions of ever completing his contractual obligations and had only promised what he did in order to seal the deal and to get the deposit. After months went by of us living in a construction zone where white drywall dust covered everything on all 3 floors, making us live out of cardboard boxes, we were tired of the landlord's broken promises, as it was us that finished whatever work we could do, including all the painting, sanding, and all the cleaning throughout the entire home, as we were forced to live this way by the landlord for months. Over the 30-month shortened tenancy that we lived at the residence, we have notified the landlord 120 times of severe issues within the property and that were in violation of New Hampshire Rev Statute 48-A, Section 14. We had 32 no-heat complaints because there is still no furnace, as we would freeze each night as we were forced to sleep in our jackets and on the floors next to dangerous electric heaters. In October 2019, we petitioned and begged the courts to force the landlord to install a furnace in his rental property so my family wouldn't freeze. But because of evidence discovered years later that strongly proves the existence of severe judicial conspiracy against us by the landlord, this judge went against the New Hampshire law RSA 48-A that made our home uninhabitable, as there was no heat or furnace, and dismissed our petition, making my family's home the only home in New Hampshire forced to live without heat, and we were still ordered to pay $3,500 a month for rent. We had night infestation issues of biting spiders, mice, and other rodents. We had 20 black toxic mold issues, where black toxic mold was so bad that it went through both sides of our home's interior walls, and that mushrooms started to grow on our new bedroom carpets, and congealed numerous air movers that circulated the microtoxins that had become airborne throughout all 3 levels of our home, in which later a third-party EPA laboratory confirmed numerous strains at severely high levels of black toxic mold was proven to exist, that unfortunately caused severe bodily injuries to my wife and I, and a long similar list of serious health conditions almost costing us our lives. These health conditions never existed before, as this photo was taken 3 months prior to ever walking in that 136-year-old house of horrors. After not receiving any help from the landlord to fix the issues that plagued our home, and after almost losing each other on separate occasions as our throats started to close up, and neither I or my wife could no longer breathe due to anaphylactic shock assuming from the black toxic mold the landlord neglected to fix, we went seeking help from the city. Eventually we discovered, and what the evidence would prove is that, in April of 2017, when the landlord gutted the entire house, he failed to obtain safety building permits and failed to perform safety inspections, as the City of Nashua wrote in a letter dated October 2019 that the last permit obtained for our property was over 20 years ago, which means the construction performed in 2017 was illegally performed. After notifying the landlord on July 13, 2019, that we had contacted the city for help and the landlord had learned he was the responsible party for causing my family serious bodily injuries when his company performed major construction illegally without New Hampshire building permits, the landlord maliciously and purposely retaliated against us. Immediately, and just days after the landlord was notified that he was responsible for causing the serious injuries to my wife and I, instead of doing the humanitarian thing, which is to finally help us by correcting the situations that caused us severe harm in the first place, without compassion, the landlord chose to hurt us even further and at our most vulnerable time, as on July 22, 2019, he sent a demand for rent and an eviction letter based on false claims that we suddenly owed him $32,200. In order to thoroughly understand how fraudulent this claim is, the first thing to know is, according to the lease, page 1, item number 1, as shown below, the lease started on June 1st, 2017. The second thing to know is, the demand for rent dated July 2019 was sent on the 25th month since the lease began. The third thing to know is, according to the demand for rent letter, the landlord claimed to the court that we failed to pay rent for a period starting from 12/31/2017 through 7/1/2019, which is a 20-month period the landlord claimed we never paid rent, which on its surface, to a majority of normal everyday people or to a group of landlords, as they too would find this statement to be too unrealistic to believe, as based on a $3,500 monthly rental payment, what sane landlord would wait 2 months of not receiving $7,000 in rent before evicting a tenant? Never mind 2 years, which totals $70,000. The landlord knew this claim was false when stated, as it was done purposely to help cover up the landlord's crimes and to avoid being found liable for our injuries, as the landlord cashed the December 2017's rental payment on December 27th and cashed the January 2018's rental payment on January 31st, which proves this testimony was falsely made. In addition to the first 2 checks that the landlord falsely claimed were never received, the landlord knowingly was handed and cashed 25 checks totaling $47,600 during the same 20-month period when the landlord falsely claimed of receiving none. In fact, our records indicate that total rent paid to the landlord was $79,341, and that additional cash checks and paid receipts paid for by us, which were not even mentioned as of yet, were paid into this leased property and consisted of a brand new kitchen with appliances, the massive landscaping curb appeal job, along with numerous other upgrades into our supposedly new home, proving that we invested well over $127,000 during the shortened 25-month tenancy. During the shortened 25-month tenancy.
You see what I mean? That's why I took that one off.
Then exactly 10 minutes and 40 seconds later, at timestamp 15:25, Judge Dacascos states for the record that the landlord in this case did not make a claim, knowing this to be a false statement as she just secretly confessed to the clerk that the landlord did make a claim, which was purposely done in order to protect the landlord, in robbing the tenants of their rights to counterclaim and attain justice after becoming severely injured due to the landlord's misdeeds and negligence.
For the sake of the tenants, I want to make a notation under 540.13 that the landlord in this case did not elect to make a claim for unpaid rent. Therefore, they do not have a right to make a counterclaim, despite the fact they did file a counterclaim with a number of allegations in it. Might otherwise be the subject of other proceedings, but given that there's no damages requested to be offset, a counterclaim is not appropriate and is dismissed. I don't see any check for that.
Can I see that?
Yeah, I did.
But as far as the left and right hemisphere, is there absolutely zero spark? There is still something going on, right?
We can't say that.
I believe in miracles. That's why I was asking if zero spark.
I mean, very little.
Okay.
Very little.
But more than zero, though, right?
Possibly more than zero.
But I never want to leave her alone.
Love you too.
Hi, it's video.
Hi. Love you.
Love you too.
No.
Love you. Love you, baby.
And to avoid being caught for breaking the law and being sued for our injuries, he destroyed evidence and altered the lease. And with the help from a corrupt judge he knew, had us illegally evicted into the snow, Christmas 2019, which only amplified our injuries. The severity of the judge's corruption was only discovered recently, as the court audio record revealed that the judge secretly helped plot against us and could be heard whispering to the clerk about how she tampered with evidence in the file, among other illegal things, in order to protect the landlord. And when my wife was being respectful to the judge by either saying yes or no, Your Honor, behind my wife's back, and for no reason at all, the judge could be heard making hateful remarks about my wife to the clerk. As the judge stated, she hated the blonde. Discovering that people can defraud you from your life, your savings, your home, your businesses, can cause bodily injury to you and your loved ones without remorse, then purposely gets away with it from help by a judge of all people, is bad enough. But hearing the judge in her own voice purposely plotting against us and even stated she hated my wife was too much for my wife to bear. On December 25th, 2019, Christmas Day, we left our home peacefully because the sticker on our door stated we were to be evicted in the morning. While the world was told to stay home and stay safe because of the COVID-19 epidemic, my wife and I, as sick as we were forced to live in our vehicles in a Walmart parking lot for the next 2 years. On December 25th, 2021, Christmas Day again, and also the 2-year anniversary of being evicted, after hearing the judge's words herself, trying to escape the nightmare, my beautiful wife fell 120 feet from a Boston rooftop. And this is a doctor telling me I was about to lose my wife because the damage to her brain was so severe that she had less than 1% of brain activity coming from her brain. And it's all my fault. I was supposed to protect her. My love, the day we met, we both knew was an amazing day and heaven sent, as we both prayed for each other to be the one. And I promised you that I would always protect you and give my life for yours if ever need be. But because I was so focused on loving you to my last breath, I didn't see the evil people surrounding us that would defraud us and rob us blindly of everything that we owned, making us homeless on Christmas Day, living in our cars during COVID, and eventually making you think the only way out of this nightmare was to fall 8 stories off a building in Boston on Christmas 2021. I am so sorry. It is all my fault. I should have seen what was happening, and I didn't. I'd trade places with you if I could in a heartbeat, and I told God to take me instead. I need you. I am nothing without you. You are my whole world and my forever twin flame. Baby, I need you to fight hard and stay with me. I promise you I will never stop fighting those that hurt you until my last breath and until justice is served in your name. This I swear. I love you. Baby, please don't leave me. Stay. Stay with me.
Don't go tonight. Stay here one more time. Remind me what it's like. And let's fall in love one time. I need you now by my side. It tears me up when you turn me down. I'm begging, please, just stick around. I'm sorry, don't leave me. I want you here with me. I know that your love is gone. I can't breathe, I'm so weak. I know this isn't easy. Don't tell me that your love is gone, that your love is gone. Don't tell me that your love is gone, that your love is gone. I'm sorry, don't leave me. I want you here with me. I know that your love is gone. I can't breathe, I'm sorry. I know this isn't easy. Don't tell me that your love is gone, that your love is gone, that your love is gone. I can't breathe, I'm so weak. I know this isn't easy. Don't tell me that your love is gone, that your love is gone.